Friends, at the outset, how do I do that? Okay. At the outset, I must express my gratitude to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. See, actually, when Ajay and Vikram asked me to speak, I said you should look for someone else. I'm Garka Murga. When you don't get anybody, then you call me. Because I am just part of Manthan. But then they insisted, and therefore I am here. I have prepared a speech, but before I move on to the prepared speech, I just wanted to say something about Mahatma Gandhi. We generally know him for many things, but we don't know that he was a great strategist. There is a book by a very famous author, Professor Saul Alinsky. He has written a book called Rules for Radicals. And an important reference, actually a lot of references are made to Mahatma Gandhi. He says that he's a great strategist and he was a great radical. And in order to achieve something that one could not dream at that time, that grand vision, it just did not require only principles, it required strategy. And a strategy required sometimes trade-off. You just don't get totally imprisoned by morals. You should have a strategy. And I would suggest that read that book so that we understand even to achieve the noblest goals, you require a strategy. And I think we have to also now start looking at what we can learn about strategy from Mahatma Gandhi. Actually, Professor Saul speaks with great admiration. But there is another book. That book treats Mahatma Gandhi with contempt. But there is an admiration for his strategy. And that is Indian ideology. Peter Anderson. In either case, my submission is that perhaps we should now also learn strategy from Mahatma Gandhi because the world is entering a dangerous phase, I believe. And the younger generation are likely to face a lot more challenges than what this generation has been accustomed to. So that's my first point, perhaps this October 2nd. Second, going back, this is the second time I'm actually participating on an event on October 2nd. The first time was in 1969, 2nd October 1969. I remember that because that was the day we removed prohibition in Andhra. Centenary, that was the centenary of Gandhiji's birth. And we removed prohibition, that was order dated October 2nd. And it's very interesting why it was removed. In those days, there used to be, in Andhra Pradesh, there used to be an officer called Commissioner for Excise and Prohibition. His job was to collect money by selling liquor in Telangana and enforce prohibition in Andhra. That was his job. And the designation was Commissioner for Excise and Prohibition. Then there was a problem of Telangana surplus. And Telangana people, under the gentleman's agreement, said that we have a surplus. And then the analysis showed that there was a surplus. And the surplus was mainly on account of the liquor revenue. So how do you get rid of the Telangana surplus? Remove prohibition in Andhra. And that is how. So you have very interesting things happening on even days like October 2nd. But having said that, and then there are a lot of things about Telangana surplus, and partly we'll cover that later. The third is broadly about union-state relations. And Gandhiji played a very important role in not only creation of India, but creation of builder of India as it is today, particularly in the context of the communal tensions that we went through. In fact, if you look back at the debates about federation, the literature on federation before 1947, you will find interesting things. The debate in those days said, how do you create a federation in which there are presidency states and princely states? They did not visualize that they will all be integrated and the country will be reorganized. Second, there is always this problem of Muslim majority states, non-Muslim majority states, and how do you handle this? These are the type of debates. And now we have an entirely different situation because of three people Gandhiji's vision, ensuring communal harmony. Second, you have Sardar Patel, who integrated the states. And then you have Pandit Nehru. Pandit Nehru in those days, despite his high personality, used to write periodic letters to chief ministers. There's a very good book, The Letters of Pandit Nehru to Chief Ministers. He used to write letters to chief ministers explaining the national problems. He used to take them into confidence. He was very clear that India as a nation consists of the union and the states working together for the nation. I think this is another thing that I want to mention as a backdrop. Finally, if we look back before I start the limited aspect of union-state relations, before 1947, very few people thought that India will survive and thrive as a country. Very few people thought. And look today what is happening. In Britain, Scots want to freedom. They are not able to build anything like a federation in Europe with great traditions, enlightenment, and here we are with more diversity managing this country. And that's the biggest achievement for our country. And this is, in fact, in my IAS interview, this was the discussion, but anyway. So I just want to give this big picture before I go into the nitty-gritty. Now, let me start. The center-state relations are governed by the Constitution of India. But the Constitution of India does not have the word center. In fact, I told Ajay, you are giving a topic, center-state relations. That word center does not exist in the Constitution of India. The word is union government. For 30 years after India adopted the Constitution, after 30 years, Mr. N.T. Ramarao said, center is a conceptual myth. He was fighting Mrs. Gandhi virtually. So he was asserting that states are important in India, and it's the states who are really representative of the people. So that was one statement. And that was a defining moment, if you see. That was the time when things started changing. And after Mrs. Gandhi's assassination, Rajiv Gandhi succeeded her. When Rajiv Gandhi became Prime Minister, soon after there were elections, Rajiv Gandhi swept the country. He got huge majority. But what was the opposition party? Telugu Desam. The single largest opposition party was by N.T. Ramarao. You have a very peculiar situation where the national party, the national leader, the single largest opposition party was a regional leader who questioned, who asked center is a myth. Well, of course, 30 years after that, the state has been bifurcated. So what does it mean? Center is a political reality. Center may be a myth in many ways, but center is a political reality. I thought that we should understand this very big picture. Anyway, having said that, in my professional life, I had played, I was sort of a witness, if not a very good participant, in the center-state relations. So I will illustrate my experiences. In 1969, I became Deputy Secretary Planning in Government of Andhra Pradesh. I came across a letter written by then Chief Minister Brahmanand Reddy. He writes to Prime Minister. So we have annual plan discussions. Because Government of India gives money, plan grants, central assistance. So we go, we discuss our plan. The plan has to be approved, then we get the money. So we're supposed to go, a lot of people have to go. And we find Brahmanand Reddy writing a letter to Prime Minister saying, no, we will send our plan to you. All the officers need not come. It will be a waste of airfare. You send your comments. Imagine a Chief Minister writing like that to Prime Minister. There were two reasons. At that time, there was a formula which was introduced in 1969 called Gadgil formula. Under the Gadgil formula, every state was, there was a formula by which every state got the money. So the question of approval didn't matter. All it required, you are entitled to under the formula approved. So therefore, no money, no need to waste our money, even going there. So that's Brahmanand Reddy's support. Second, politically he was strong at that time. He was strong and Prime Minister had to depend on his support. Thanks to these two, here is a Chief Minister who says, I don't want to come for send my officers for a meeting because I don't want to waste my airfare. Anyway, then you know what happened. See, finally, of course, we had a compromise and three of us went and discussed. So this is the politics and economics of center-state relations. In 1972, Andhras wanted separation from Telangana. And there was agitation in Andhra. Army was called in. President's rule was imposed. I was a liaison officer between the army and civil administration of state government. And I was located in Vijayawada, how to send the army, where to go and that sort of stuff. And this was, of course, the period of central rule in Andhra Pradesh. But soon after, there was a 6-point formula. The 6-point formula, one of the most important elements of the 6-point formula is special funds for development of backward areas in Andhra Pradesh and for development of the capital. So the 6-point formula, some money we were getting. Therefore, we had to prepare the guidelines. So by then, everything is settled, Andhra settled, Telangana settled, center settled. So then I go for a discussion in the planning commission. The advisor, Mr. Anand Swarup, tells me, "Hey, bhai, by then, center, state, everything, all part of joint family." So then Mr. Anand Swarup says, "Hey, bhai, we have to prepare some guidelines for using these special funds." See, you know what I'm supposed to say. You know what you are supposed to say. You know what should be the guidelines. Why don't you draft the minutes of the meeting? There's no need for a meeting. So I drafted what he is supposed to say. I only told him that you give me a lunch. I won't do it for free. So I had a lunch. And so that is how the guidelines have been prepared under 6-point formula for the utilization of funds. So classic case of moving from a time I won't send my people to Delhi for spending the airfare. Here is somebody who goes from here and prepares the guidelines for their money to be spent in our states. That's how the politics and the economics happen. Now let me go to Government of India. I go to Government of India in 1976, joined the Ministry of Finance. I had to deal with World Bank. The World Bank, as you know, is a cooperative. India is a very important member, shareholder. We also borrow money. So both we own and we borrow. And for negotiations, when you negotiate loans, from the Government of India, I was the coordinator. Some projects are implemented in the state, but the loan agreement is signed with the center. So for the negotiations, usually there is a team. You have a state government representative finance, state project department, center project department, center finance ministry, and then the World Bank. Whenever we go for negotiation, the real negotiations are within the Indian team, not with the World Bank. Because the state government finance wants to get maximum for the state. The Ministry of Finance and Government Affairs wants to give minimum to the state. Then you find that the agriculture department or whatever department, they want to maximize, put as many conditions so that they want to maximize the sector of the project. The Central Ministry of Agriculture will also like to support the Ministry of Agriculture in the state. The Ministry of Finance supports finance here. So you have all these conflicting things. So most of the time, I had to negotiate within our own team than with the World Bank team. And that's one experience. Now, after that, I went to World Bank. In the World Bank, I joined as advisor to Mr. Narasimham, Executive Director. Executive Board of Directors. The Executive Director on the World Bank, elected by the South Asian constituency, of which India is most important. Now, what does the Executive Director in World Bank do? He is on the board of the World Bank. So, therefore, his business is to ensure that the interests of World Bank as an organization are protected and pursued. That's the job. But he is elected by India mainly. So, he has to make sure that India is not dissatisfied. So, and it's not as though always the interests of World Bank and the interests of India are the same. World Bank wants to have maximum conditionality by giving minimum money. And India wants to have maximum money, minimum conditionality. And Mr. Narasimham has to reconcile these two. And I am advisor to Mr. Narasimham to reconcile these two. Now, there is an additional complication. When the state government gets into the picture, it's a bigger complication. Then you have to manage and reconcile the interests of World Bank, the center, and the state. And that is quite an interesting business. So whatever the outcome you see, it's an outcome of these different positions that happen. I remember once MG Ramachandran, visited World Bank. He met David Hopper, Vice President, and I went because normally when the Indian Chief Minister goes and meets the Vice President, I'm there escorting. He was accompanied by MGR was assisted by Venkatesan, Secretary. So David Hopper asked, you see, Mr. Chief Minister, you want us to give you money, you have your priorities, you want this, but Government of India's Planning Commission has a different priorities, and therefore, what priorities should we support unless both of you are on the same side? It will not be possible for us, so you have to identify common projects. So how do you want to handle that? So MGR gave a reply, just brief reply, 2 sentences. Venkatesan translated in 10 sentences. He explained that India has priorities, we have priorities, but we have common goal. Common goal is development. We want to work together for the poor people. We are for the poor people. We want nutrition, blah, blah, blah. At the end, after the meeting, Mrs. Anne Hamilton, who was the Chief of India Division, who was assisting Hopper, like my counterpart, when we came out, Anne told me, I say, Venu, I did not realize that Tamil is such an eloquent language. It must be the most eloquent language in the world. 2 sentences require translation to 10 sentences. I knew Tamil. MGR understood English, but he will not speak English. He simply said only one thing. This seems to be a tricky question, answer carefully. Okay. But in general, the chief ministers of the state, whenever they visit multilateral institutions, all of them, they are very, they don't talk loosely, and I must say, they are very, they don't air their differences. At least that was the tradition in those days. That has been the norm, and I must say that. Though there are occasions when I remember once, some ministers from a state came, and they had only one request. The request was that I should write to the chief minister and tell that the minister did an excellent job in World Bank. Okay, but that's an aberration. Now I came back to the state from World Bank in 1983. I joined as Secretary of Planning in Government of Andhra Pradesh. At that time, as you know, nationally, Congress Party won, but NTR had formed the government. And I went for annual plan discussions with the Planning Commission. And by then again, we had to get the approval of the plan, and we used to get some money, so we went there. Then Planning Commission, naturally, we had to take the guidance from the Chief Minister about the plan, for which project, how much do you allocate, which sector, which project. Went to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission people said, no, in planning, there are schemes which are under implementation. You have already invested quite a lot. That is called a sunk cost. So you must complete the projects. That is the most efficient way. You can't start having on new projects because there's a waste of money. It's not optimal. So you must complete. Therefore, you must provide full allocation to ongoing projects, and then only you can take up new projects. Naturally, when Mr. N.T. Ramarao comes, he wants his best projects. So we include his best projects in the plan. And Planning Commission says, no, this is correct planning. So I tried to explain that, a bit of theory, planning is dynamic. You combine a bit of old, bit of new, and the optimization requires from time to time. All the rational arguments I tried to explain that we can introduce new projects. Nothing worked. So finally I said, friends, if the people of Andhra Pradesh wanted ongoing projects, they would have elected ongoing government. The fact that ongoing government has been taken out, which means that they want new projects. And that's what my chief minister wants. That's what my cabinet wants. That's the elected government, and therefore that I will do. Now tell me, what should I do? They said, okay. So, and then it was approved. So sometimes more than analysis, the fundamental, but of course I added to be, no, I understand, as you know, sir, I submit, sir, you also change priorities in between, same government, sometimes political reasons. That was all right. So I submitted that this happens in Government of India also, so don't try to teach me what is ongoing and what is new. So that was settled. So, but there is something else, another experience, that was the National Development Council meeting. The National Development, you must tell me when, 10:40, right? 10:40, please tell me a couple of minutes before. We had an unusual experience in the National Development Council. National Development Council in those days used to meet often, and then that's the only forum where the Prime Minister, the Chief Minister sit and discuss the various developmental issues, and the 5-year plan also in those days used to be approved. So we prepared the speech. There's a standard agenda. You get the agenda, you prepare the speech, you give the material, and of course each Chief Minister wants his or her own pet or ideologies, pet schemes. All that we incorporated. We discussed. N.T. Ramarao approved the speech, both English and Telugu. They are approved. We go for the meeting. The meeting was scheduled that day, and we have to send a speech, printed speech in advance, which we sent. Madhura Garu knows all this drill. Then, on that morning about 8 o'clock, I got a call saying, is your Chief Minister speaking today? I said, of course he is speaking. Actually, not 8:30 or so. He has rehearsed. He rehearsed the speech in the morning. So I said, he has rehearsed the speech in the morning, so of course he is speaking. He said, good, fine, thanks. Meeting starts. As the meeting starts, normally the alphabetical order. So Andhra Pradesh was called. Mr. N.T. Ramarao got up and we were sitting behind, we could see. There was a folder. He didn't open the folder. He removed a paper from his pocket and started reading out. We condemn Government of India, etc., etc., etc. Political speech. He gave a political speech. And then walked out. And some of the Chief Ministers also walked out. Then we tried to get up because Chief Minister is going, you go back. He just said, We sat down because we were instructed to sit back. We sat back. He goes away. After a few minutes, of course, the Deputy Chairman Planning Commission said, those officers who came to assist the Chief Ministers, but if the Chief Ministers walked away, you may go out. Very politely, we were asked to get out, throw. So naturally, I was upset. I was upset because partly I was insulted, partly our credibility was at stake. We go and tell Government of India, senior officer, very senior officer, saying that my Chief Minister will speak. He rehearses in the morning, 1 hour before, and then gives this speech. So it was then the explanation was given by NTR. The explanation was that he wanted to save embarrassment to us. Apparently, their suspicion was that if the Government of India had a suspicion that it will be a political speech, they will change the speaking order and make N.T. Ramarao last. To avoid that possibility, they have to keep this tactic as a strategy. So now, you have it, NDC, planning, discussion. So this is part of life. Now, let me move on to the Reserve Bank of India. In 1996, I joined Reserve Bank of India as Deputy Governor. And with my experience, I thought it would be a good idea to have a conference of state finance secretaries. So we started the conference. Dr. Rangarajan agreed with the idea, and it's going on. It's a very good forum. And I used to invite Finance Secretary, Government of India, the State Finance Secretaries, Finance Secretary, Government of India, Planning Commission, CAG, because I didn't want the Government of India to think that I'm trying to have an equation of the State Finance Secretaries behind the back. RBI is essentially part of Union government. So Montek, Finance Secretary, one of our most distinguished Finance Secretaries, attended one of the meetings, and at the end of the meeting, he said, I say, Venu, they're very good. These finance secretaries, state finance secretaries are very good, outstanding. I never knew that. I said, we didn't know that, but that's a fact. And said, that's because the state chief ministers have to select their finance secretaries carefully because they can't print money. But it was not meant as a joke. The point is very often with the government of India. Who was finance secretary, government of India? Our own finance secretaries go there, na? Uttu Rao goes there, Venugopal Reddy goes there. So in a way, the senior people in Delhi don't descend from anywhere. They go from Andhra, Tamil Nadu. So my main point I was trying to make was that there's no superior wisdom, but there's a different perspective. There's a national perspective. We accept that. So that is the point that I was trying to make. But Vinod Rai, who later became Controller and Auditor General, at that time he was Finance Secretary of Kerala. He found that this meeting with the State Finance Secretaries was very useful, extremely useful. So apparently he went and made a proposal to Finance Secretary of Government of India that you should have a conference with the State Finance Secretaries. So the Finance Secretary of Government of India said, no, I can't have that because the State Finance Secretaries may gang up against us. We don't want it. Okay. So now these are the type of issues that come up. This way things happen behind the scenes. I'm not deliberately going to the substance, but because that will be partly boring. Now let me go to the IMF. After RBI, I went to IMF in 2002, 2003. The IMF produces an annual surveillance report. They say which country, what are their policies, what they should do to maintain the world monetary system in a stable and good condition. So their surveillance report on India, there was a reference to the goods and services tax. And they said, Government of India should make the best efforts to get political support for implementing GST, etc. So they're trying to generally teach us that we should learn how to get political support. IMF is a technocratic institution. I don't think they know much about what political support is. But I didn't want to say that, but I put it differently. I said that yes, we entirely agree that we have to gather political support. We have something called the Empowered Committee of the Chief Ministers. It is headed by a communist, West Bengal Finance Minister. He is an economist, PhD from America, eminent economist, Dr. Asim Dasgupta. And then the ministers come from different parties. So what more can we expect? Tell me one country where such diverse elements come together, have a group, and there's a discussion between union government and state governments on one of the most important changes in the economy and the constitutional balance of power. It has taken time, it has taken 14 years, but still the limited point is that the IMF trying to tell us is right, but we also knew and we did that, and we are almost there now. So by and large, what I wanted to say is that we have an excellent tradition in spite of all the quarrels that we may have. Now comes the Finance Commission. I think that since you know everything, the whole document is in the public domain, I don't have to say anything, I suppose. Is it okay? No, I'll say something. In fact, that's what I mentioned, but you insisted. See, soon after joining as Chairman Finance Commission, we had an economist, Dr. Pinaki Chakravarti. So then he came in the discussions, he said, sir, what are the parameters? Earlier something was done, this was done. So I said, look, remember one thing, there is no agenda. Normally, whenever commissions are appointed, the appointment of the chairman indicates what they want. Depending on what the government wants, they will have a chairman who generally is sympathetic to that point of view. Okay. 10 minutes, is it? Okay. Now, so the fact that they have appointed me means they don't have any idea what to do. If they had some definite idea of what they should do, they would have selected somebody who will deliver that. Only when they are very unclear about what to do, then they will select me because I am independent. And that's how the work started. Now, why? Let me explain how the situation when the FFC was appointed was different. One, compared to previous finance commissions, political point of view, there were at least 4 chief ministers who thought they are fit enough to be the prime minister, They will make better prime ministers at that. Political equations have changed. Second, from an ideological point of view, we used to have left, right, Maulana model, what is that model, Brahmananda model. Now, what is the political discussion? Gujarat model, Tamil Nadu model, Bihar model. There's a change. There's a change in the discourse on the elections. By 2012, 2013, there's a total change in the discourse on development. Then you point to a macroeconomic point of view. See, from a macroeconomic point of view, especially after the global crisis, whatever savior business is restricted, but there is an impact, inevitably, maybe less, but it's an impact. And therefore, many of the macroeconomic assumptions made by 13th Finance Commission went away. And fourth, what happened? Fiscal. On the fiscal side, generally, the states are indisciplined. The center disciplines the state. In the last few years when actually the states were forced to be disciplined for some reason or other, the center had a lot of fiscal problems. So in a way, in this background, and then Dr. Rangarajan committee has already recommended, incidentally, that the distinction between plan and non-plan should be removed. This is the chairman of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council recommended that this distinction should be removed. So my limited point is that by the time the 14th Finance Commission was appointed, the game changed. It is not the report that changed the game. It's the constitution of the commission that changed the game. The circumstances in which the commission was constituted. So therefore, whatever recommendations we made, there should not be a surprise. Now, I do not want to repeat what the recommendations were, but I think what I will do, and in any case, since I was a member and chairman, I don't think I can comment on it, but I will only conclude with what will be the assessment. Suppose I have to assess. The best way of assessing is, I thought, let me imagine that I'm a professor. And let me imagine what is the reaction of different states. So, now I'll read out. Tamil Nadu. What does Tamil Nadu say? Tamil Nadu says, we are very unhappy with the 14th Finance Commission. Our share in horizontal balance has been reduced. We have been penalized because we have exhibited growth. We have been penalized because we adopted family planning. We have been penalized because we are responsible in making our budget. So Tamil Nadu is unhappy. We did everything that's supposed to be done properly, and here is the Finance Commission, which gives me less share. Comes Bihar. Bihar says, we are shocked. We are very backward. We did not get revenue deficit grants. Andhra Pradesh gets revenue deficit grants. Kerala gets revenue deficit. West Bengal gets revenue. See our poverty. See our conditions. We can't collect much taxes. And still we did not get revenue deficit grant. Well, let us go to Telangana. Telangana says, oh, our stand on bifurcation is vindicated. The Commission's estimates show that Telangana has surplus, Andhra has deficit, which means the Andhras were always enjoying the surplus from Telangana. So therefore, you see, what we said is true. That's what the Finance Commission figures show. Now comes Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh, we did not get enough to compensate for injustice done to us after bifurcation. We lost revenue from Hyderabad. Special category status has not been given to us by Union government. Now suppose I ask for special category states, the existing special category. They say, oh, in the 13th Finance Commission, only special category states got revenue deficit. Only special category states got revenue deficit. Here is the 14th Finance Commission, and these fellows give money to Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, West Bengal. What is this? We should have got that. There is no question of giving revenue deficit. But this. Then what does all the states say? Let's take all the states except Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. All the states other than Andhra Pradesh and Telangana say, oh, together we lost over 20,000 crores. We lost over 20,000 crores. Because if the bifurcation had not taken place, there would be no revenue deficit. If there is no revenue deficit, then there is no revenue deficit grant. Now bifurcation has taken place. Telangana keeps the surplus. The rest of the country has to pay for Andhra for a deficit. So we lost 20,000 crores. That is the complaint of the rest of the states. Now what does the Union government say? Union government says that this commission has reduced suddenly. Always it was 30, 38, 31, 32. And we used to get 68. Now this commission says that instead of 68%, I will get only 58%. Huge reduction. Where is the money? And still the states want even old schemes to be continued. We just don't have money to be able to give anything more. We are squeezed by the 14th Finance Commission, and therefore our hands are tied. Many things that we want to do, we can't do, and this is what the Finance Commission has done to us. So basically, when I started, I told the members of the commission that, friends, let us be very clear. Our job is to make sure that everybody is equally unhappy. Because there is no way we can make anybody happy. It's a zero-sum game. So our business is to say that. And I think we have been very successful, not only equally unhappy, equally greatly unhappy. Now, somebody may ask, what is the perspective of the 14th Finance Commission? Well, 14th Finance Commission, it is dead. Dead men don't speak. It's gone. So you have to wait for the 15th Finance Commission to new perspectives, for new balances. So that is why in Bhagavad Gita they say, Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Every 5 years Finance Commission. Thank you.
Dr. Reddy has agreed to take a few questions, so very quickly, if I can see a few hands go up. Yes, I see a hand there.
Actual final report of the 14th Commission that the natural resources of a state like petroleum, oil and other gases, some kind of a entitlement to be given to the state which has that particular state. Like example, Andhra Pradesh was supposed to get some kind of a revenue commission or revenue share from the natural resource. Was there it in the 14th Finance Commission? Actually, in the draft commission or points of reference statement, it was mentioned. But was it there that the state is entitled to have some kind of revenue share from the natural endowments and entitlements like petroleum gas?
When the natural resources are exploited for economic development, quote unquote, particularly in tribal areas, etc., there is supposed to be economic growth and everybody benefits. But for the people of that area, there is a deprivation, there is a cost, there is an environmental cost, there is a pressure on the infrastructure. That is in the jurisdiction of the state. And therefore, we analyzed various things, and then we came to the conclusion, yes, in some ways, the states have not been adequately compensated for the obligations that they have to discharge in the context of exploitation of natural resources under the National Development Program. We accepted that. Then we analyzed and said that there is any way we can provide for it, but it's very difficult. Actually, we even attempted a chapter, I can tell you that. But finally, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere we mentioned this fact as something which Government of India should take into account. But it does not form part of it. But that is an issue in the center-state relation. If that is the point, yes, it is an issue. Has it been solved by the Finance Commission? No, it could not be solved. Though it wanted to do it, it found it outside its frame of reference.
Okay. Venugopal Reddy garu, this side, and actually, what was the reason behind it, the removing special status to help the state governments? What was the reason behind it?
I think there is only one sentence. There is only one sentence. Please read Finance Commission report. One sentence. That one sentence says, very simple. One sentence says that we did not make a distinction between special category states and others in regard to projections of their requirements, etc. What happened? The earlier commission the methodology of projections, they said that there is volatility in the special category states, and therefore they adopted a special methodology. What we said is we have to have a formula, and therefore as far as projection, the methodology of projection and the recommendations are concerned, we did not make it. That's all. One sentence, please read that sentence. That's the only reference to the Finance Commission. This is the second matter. This is the second issue. If as a consequence of the recommendation of the Finance Commission, or many other developments, I do not know. If decisions are taken, that's a different matter. Okay?
Good morning.
Let me put it simply. Special category states and finance commission, there is no relationship. There is no relationship. I mean, in terms of reference, procedure, processes, everything, there is no reference.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Umesh Chandra. I'm a student of law from Osmania University. Sir, I just wanted to ask about SCS, but many of the colleagues have asked it, and you have explained, included it in your speech as well. Sir, my question is with respect to the state emergency, that is Article 356 of the Indian Constitution. Sir, the Union government claims that it is there to uphold the principles of cooperative federalism. But we have seen recently that in Arunachal Pradesh and as well as in Uttarakhand, the states were toppled for political reasons. So, do you think the cooperative subsequently the Supreme Court upheld the contention of the states? So, do you see that the cooperative federalism is dented in this particular government's rule, in this dispensation's rule, or do you think there is a lacuna in the constitution itself with respect to Article 356 because the central government, that is the president, at the instance of the Union Council of Ministers, can impose the state emergency without taking the consent of the concerned legislature, which was as prescribed by the Supreme Court in S.R. Bommai's case? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It sounds like a question in the parliament or an argument before judiciary. I am neither. So let's move on to the next question. I mean, honestly, no, sorry, I mean, I didn't mean to be rude. That's a fact. How can I give an opinion on a constitutional issue with the central and states? I mean, I'm not equipped. I'm sorry. Yeah, next.
Can we have the mic go on? Yes, please ask.
Morning, sir.
Is there a gender problem here?
No, there is no gender problem. Can we see some women putting up their hands, please?
Yeah,
I didn't know that I'm so boring as far as women are concerned.
So the GST law, under that, is it a win-win situation for the union, and is it a losing proposition for the states? Can you throw some light on this?
Very quickly, it's going to be easily one of the most challenging new dynamic in the union-state relations. Earlier, all tax powers were either with the center or with the states. And what is collected by the center is distributed in the center and states. For the first time, we are going to have a tax regime which intersects the center and states. The tax design has to be agreed in this council. Virtually the tax design, various aspects of the tax have to be done by this. So in a way, a true test of cooperation in order to get anything done is this council. This council has the potential for enormous good, but it has some serious problems. Because the same thing, what finance commission faces every 5 years, they have to face every year. So the limited point is the new dynamic. It is in the best national interest. And in any regime change, there will be losers and gainers. But it's possible that everybody gains, but some gain more, some gain less. My feeling is a successful, a reasonably good goods and services tax, everybody will gain. Some will gain more, some will lose. Those who lose should not non-cooperate, they should cooperate. Thank you.
Sir, we have a lady asking you a question.
Two.
One question, sir. Good morning. Just wanted to understand your opinion on the entire Andhra Pradesh bifurcation and the center and the state relation there. We bifurcated. Who gained?
Pardon?
We bifurcated between Telangana and Andhra Pradesh and the center. Who gained? Who stood to gain?
You see, anyway, let me come to broader issue. Broader issue is that in matters such as, ultimately you can say who gained by India and Pakistan, who gained by Madras Prison. So it's very difficult to say gains or losses. There has been a sentiment. The fact is, let's accept that there has the when the state was formed, it formed with special birth features. There are special birth features, gentleman's agreement, this. So there are special birth features. So the special birth features don't die immediately, no? So it goes on. And as you grow up, it was the responsibility of everybody concerned to see that you overcome birth defects. Obviously that is not done. So whatever has happened subsequently, there was a window of opportunity given. There was a window of opportunity given, in spite of the recommendations of the SRC, for a united Andhra Pradesh. And they unitedly destroyed the concept. Thank you.